All right, here we're going to do another set of long division of polynomials, although this one's going to be a little bit trickier than the previous one we did. So again, we're going to set this up by taking the second polynomial after the division sign and putting it in front of the divisor, in front of the division bar. Now, the dividend, which is the polynomial in front of the division sign, needs to be put inside the division bar. There's one thing we really need to be careful of. This polynomial here skips one of the terms. It goes from 4x to the third power to a 6x to the 1 power. It's missing the x squared. So what we need to do to make sure all of our like terms line up is we need to introduce an x squared term in the middle. Well, if I just write x squared, that implies that the coefficient is a 1. The coefficient is not a 1 because otherwise it would have been written in the polynomial. The only coefficient that could have had to not be written in the polynomial is a 0. So when we go to write this divisor in, we'll write 4x to the third and 0 plus 0 x squared. And then it looks like the rest of our polynomial is there. So plus 6x and minus 1. I get the question a lot, does it have to be a plus 0x squared? The answer is technically no. If you're adding 0 or subtracting 0, it doesn't matter. But it's a lot less confusing, I think, to put a plus instead of a minus. Okay, now as we get started, we're going to look at just the first terms. So let me switch colors here. We're going to ask ourselves, what do we multiply a 2x by to turn it into a 4x to the third? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and x times x squared gives us an x to the third. So now what we need to do is distribute. 2x squared times 2x is 4x to the third, and 2x squared times negative 2 is negative 4x to the third. Whoops, negative 4x to the second. Now, at this point, we're supposed to subtract what we have there in green. And again, my students have a great way of memorizing the subtraction. They came up with draw the line and change the signs. So we'll change any positive signs to negatives and any negative signs to positive. That way it'll distribute our polynomial in green. So now when we subtract, we have 4x cubed minus 4x cubed is the 0. And 0x squared plus 4x squared is 4x squared. See how nicely that turned out that we had the x squareds lining up since we put the red 0x squared in there. Okay, and then now we're ready to bring down the next term, plus 6x. After we bring down, we can start all over again. Asking ourselves, what do we multiply the 2x by to turn it into a 4 and an x squared? Well, much like in the last one, 2 times 2 is 4, and x times x is x to the 2. And again, I'm going to take this 2x, distribute it through to the divisor. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. All right. Again, now we're going to draw the line and change our signs. And when we do that and combine vertically, we have 4x squared minus 4x squared again is 0. 6x plus 4x is 10x. And now we can bring down the minus 1. All right, last round. What do we multiply a 2x by to turn it into a 10x? Well, that's just a 5. So we're going to write plus 5. Distributing the 5 through, we get 5 times 2x is 10x, and 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Lastly, drawing the line and changing the signs. Draw the line, positive becomes a negative, negative becomes a positive, so that when we subtract, 10x minus 10x is 0, negative 1 plus 10 is a positive 9. And remember, for remainders, we don't have anything else to bring down, so that must be our remainder. Since it's a positive 9, we're going to write plus, and a remainder means that that 9 is remaining to still be divided by the 2x minus 2. That is a very ugly 2 I just wrote. 2x minus 2. Okay, and then our answer is on top.